It's finally Taurus season, and we all need some grounding Earth energy. We're exploring leading stories from stability in uncertain times tonight on Leading Out Loud.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Leading out loud. Leading out loud. We're leading out loud.
Welcome to Leading Out Loud, the spiritual shift show that's pioneering and playful. I'm step astrologer and channel, Sensei Chris Wotecki.
And I'm David Palmer, the Leo King.
And I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor, scottcruzpm.com. Rough week, guys.
Yeah, I know.
It's been a. I mean, we say a roller coaster, but I would say it's like more like the Tower of Terror, where it's just like an elevator that goes up and then up, down. It's a lot more.
Totally. Yep.
The new moon was like a full moon to me at the end of Aries, and here we are in Taurus. I'm home in Taurus, but I'm not feeling at home just yet. So it's not stable yet. It's stubborn.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the Tower of Terror analogy, but I also feel it's kind of like Jenga, just like stacking one on top of the other. But like, oh, if I do any more, I'm going to crumble. I feel that type of energy.
It's intense Aries. I mean, I feel like I came out of Aries knowing myself better than I've ever known myself, but feeling like I was in the wrong world or movie. So I probably get me, but I don't get the world. But I don't know. Well, it's some time. Yeah. I mean, we're in step 2 Taurus, which is the most moody Taurus thing there is. And like a cow that just goes around mooing all the time. That's how I feel right now. But I think we'll feel a little better within the next 24 hours. But it's we'll see. It's going to be, I think, a stable Taurus season. What do you think, David? Because Uranus is leaving.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in such big shifts that we're actually feeling the shifts like in the middle to starting to really go somewhere. So that's why the energy feels so different, because we are moving into different, not just like energy as we speak, but actual like shifting into new places. I think this Taurus season will feel more stable with Uranus out of Taurus. But I do think the square to Pluto that's approaching, it is that life and death moment that we're all going through, that extreme transformation, and it's hitting wherever we might feel that we're used to feeling stable is changing, and so we're having to be adaptable, and that's not easy with a lot of fixed energy mixed with a lot of Aries cardinal. Like it's like move and get used to the new and start to value the new, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree, because I kind of agree with Christopher saying that, you know, waking up in a different movie, and his movie was The 40-Year-Old Virgin, realizing I've been so deprived. And I feel that too with a lot of people. They will wake up like that, say, I've been depriving myself for a long time. When was the last time I got what I needed, right? So I think Taurus is going to kind of solidify those feelings, because like you said, in Aries season, Christopher, I agree, it's been kind of like this identity shift. I did literally a show about that, preparing people for that identity shift. But it's more so about the realization, like, who am I really? And what have I been deprived of this whole time? I've been just like doing for others and kind of trekking along and not letting people see the real me, because I've been afraid of offending people for being the real me, or people judging me for being the real me. So a lot of that has been coming out. And that's when we start expressing that, we realize, holy shit, I've been deprived myself of so much freedom, right? And pleasure, just because of the sake of making other people happy, or for the sake of not being judged and so forth. So I find a lot of people are like not caring about that. And I know we're the three of us, but I'm almost done, is that I feel like people need to be speaking up now more than ever too, and correcting bad behavior. I think a lot of people are starting to like get very frustrated and fed up of just allowing people just to get away with their businesses. And so I think more people are standing up to and holding people accountable for bad actions and bad behavior. I think encourage people to do that, to speak up.
Well, I'm glad you said something, Scott, because no, I'm kidding. No, you literally exactly how I feel. I actually felt at the end of Aries that I have never been or allowed myself just to be who I am. And it's automatic pilot. I didn't even, I've got Pluto in Libra, so I really don't know where the line is in my third house. So for those who understand, I don't really know how much to say and how much not to say. And that became really clear. So yeah, I came to that conclusion. And then I realized, I haven't been having much fun. So that's kind of how I wrapped it up. And now I'm in Taurus. I'm hoping for, basically, I think this year in Taurus, we are set up to kind of get what we want, honestly, with Uranus where it happens to be. You just got to be really strong in your heart and hold space for it, I think, for it to happen and to appear. So kind of create the magic bubble like you're blowing bubble gum, and just hold the bubble and just wait until something shows up. That's, I think, what you have to do, at least the first 10 days of Taurus, because you set up your self-worth in the first 10 days of Taurus. And so it's time for everyone to give themselves a raise when it comes to self-worth. To be worthy, more worthy to yourself.
Yeah. And I think it's the tools that we have within that are being put into roles we've never been put in before. I know we like to all call ourselves adults here, or in astrology terms, like we've all been through our Saturn return, but it's like the universe still does put us in new roles and use our tools in new ways. And I think it feels more extreme because this feels like the roles we never thought we'd be in before, and have to really use tools in our own spiritual toolkits that we've had but never really got to use for these places we all are ending up in our journeys right now. So it feels more extreme that way.
Yeah, and like the awakening is like we don't have a linear personality and a linear image of our. We have so much different layers of our image that we have if we're connected to all that is, right? So we have all those different points of view, and I think allowing ourselves to be broad in our perspective like that, and having more of a objective perspective, at least trying to in the world, we know ourselves more actually. So a lot of people always like, don't focus on the external world. It's like, you don't want to be hyper focused on the external world, but it's also reflections of where you're standing and where you need to be. And so I think that we should pay attention to that, a lot more, because I feel like when we learn through other perspectives of people, we understand we have that perspective within ourselves, and that just, increases our knowledge and wisdom and perspective on life. And I'm saying to concur with you, David, in that sense of we having all those tools, and that's what this Taurus season really is about, is solidifying a lot of that,
Well, we have until Friday. Venus will go into Gemini, and that's going to shift things a bit. And then Saturday, Uranus will enter into Gemini also, and that's going to shift things a bit. So I feel like we got about 3 more days of kind of like quiet groundedness. And then once all that stuff shifts to Gemini, I think some sort of race is off. Sure. And it's a race of ideas and concepts. And I think that's what I want to tell people is like, your mind will be racing, but your body will be right here, right now. And that's, I think, really the lesson for 8 years. I mean, but once you're honest, it's Gemini. I think it's just all kinds of ideas going in all kinds of places. Mm-hmm. And the only one is true is the one your heart gravitates towards. Otherwise, everything else is non-applicable.
What's interesting is last year when Uranus ingressed into Gemini was the exact same Venus position and play. So it's like we're in a really weird repeat of last year, but I would say with Uranus, it's like the exact opposite place you were last year.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like that's what's weird. So Venus is going to come into Gemini first. It's going to conjunct Uranus tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah.
And by Friday be in Gemini at 2 degrees when Uranus is coming in to Gemini, just like it did last year. So to me, it's like this very rare anomaly, but it's got the Uranian element. So it's like, so last year you thought you had it all figured out. Oh, now let's see where you are now. Figure it out from this place, which is the complete opposite of what you ever believed in your mind you would be. That's kind of the irony of it all.
Mm-hmm. And that like opens your channel, right, to like opportunities, inspiration, idea. And I want to encourage people when that starts happening to you, those who've been very inspired to get all these opportunities, ideas, they don't have to be done all at once either. A lot of times we channel shit for like 2 years, 3 years down the road. So you know what I'm saying? They'll have to do that's that next chapter. And so I think if we're clever enough and wise enough to spread out these inspirations and downloads, we can have a better idea of our path moving forward. Because I've gotten stuff from like 10 years ago that I'm doing now, and it just took 10 years to get there. So I think a lot of people struggle with that for some reason. I got to do it all now. It's like
I have the same idea. Actually, Serious Joy is gone. I'm now senseichris.com. And that was 10 years ago. They went off on the Serious Joy tangent. So I'm literally where I was 10 years ago, starting a new label. But it's fascinating. You're right. It took 10 years and AI actually to be invented for me to do what I wanted. So it's funny how things are. You'd be surprised. You think, always take life as the real take, but you'll find out that it was actually just it was just a side take. It was just a trial, because the real time, it seems to always be a little hidden from me. I don't know how to put it. It's a test trial. What I thought was real was actually a test.
Or learning curve, right? It's a learning curve. It's a lot of shit we go through is a learning curve until we get that big thing that we say we want, right? So I always see it like little micro steps, little micro chapters that's leading to a bigger. Actually, that bigger never stops. Actually, right? That's a continuous cycle of growth, so it never stops. That's the infinite loop of creation. But I think I want more people to tap into that too, because like they get downloads. It's like a zip file. Unpack it, spread it out. You know, many people are struggling with that too when they get inspiration. A lot of spiritual people.
Yeah, I mean, it's been very interesting for me. It was never my bingo card. I would be a single father of 2 young kids.
I know.
And so for me, these last couple of weeks, and it's like really all done now, is I'm divorced now, and I'm a single dad with 2 kids, and learning how to be that in this moment. And so whether that's how I am with my children and how I am as a single father, but also with my career and making the adjustments at home and at work, it's definitely something I never dreamed I'd ever be. But embracing it and finding the good in it, and having known that, whatever the universe throws at me is for some glorious and beautiful reason, and finding that even when it does feel like, can I do this? And it really, I think, isn't a question if I can. It's like, no, let me just do it. And I find it a lot easier the more that you accept it and show up for it, and stop doubting yourself so much.
And let me tell you something. That's why you are inspiring people even through the divorce. And a lot of people think, as spiritual teachers and leaders, I'm going through a tough time, and they feel almost like a hypocrite. It's like, no, like you're telling people, showing people this happens, and this is how you go through a divorce. So you're helping a lot of people understand the positive ways of going through divorce and what it's like on the other side of that. Maybe people on the verge of divorce, it's part of their chapter that's coming to close. You're still assisting to the process, and so a lot of people tend to judge, oh, they're getting divorced, they're hypocrite of spirituality. I was like, no, they're going through life, they're showing what life is about. So I think you've been still leading through your process and showing up still,
Well, thanks. I'm doing the best that I can. I mean, it's not I'm at that end part where it's okay. It's the new life for me, and the relationship with my kids in our journey, right? So it's I'm happy it's been through, right? And so it's like, well, what's next? And I'm not really thinking too far down the road. I'm just saying, let me just take it a day by day and enjoy these moments I'm having with my kids, and making the adjustments as I go. And
that's honorable.
I think that's the best way. For me to try and project where I'll be at in 2 years is just
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss out on your girls' lives, right? The year of their lives. So you're doing the right thing, and you're being very honorable about it too. So,
thanks.
Just from brother to brother.
As a student manifestation, I have to say, it's like the way things turn out are always what I did not think would turn out. It's the thing I put the least thought into. I didn't. It's not that I willed against it. I just never even bothered to will against it, because I just was not an option. And then I'm always surprised that indeed is what happens. Like the divorce, I too did not expect to be divorced. Because I spent my whole life trying to fix my childhood, which was in a divorce. So I understand completely. It just unfolds that way. You almost have to look at what you're not looking at if you want to see where your life is going, because it's like we have sort of selective amnesia, I think, or I know we turn a blind eye to the way that comes out, because it's always not what you expected, but not surprising either.
Yeah, but Chris, I think we know, right? I do think that we actually do know deep down inside. We just don't like to admit it, right? Like, for example, for many years, Spirit's like, go on YouTube, go to YouTube. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that shit. I don't want to be on YouTube. Like, I just so resistant to doing that. And then it came around where I'm like, okay, like my business took a halt, and I'm just like, I'm getting what you're saying. And I went on YouTube and things exploded again, right? So I was denying it. I knew it, right? Never would have thought about that. But there's a lot of things in our lives that we hear it subtly, we just reject it because we want to hear it. So I found a lot of it with my clients too. I'm like, but you felt this before. Like, why are you dismissing that? You got to tap into that intuition.
But that's so hard when you're a reader, because it's so easy for us to do that and see that in other people. But when it comes to ourselves, I think you hit right at that beginning. Like, we don't want to admit it within ourselves. And it's ironic because we're readers and we can call it out on anyone in a millisecond and be there and just totally help them see. But when it comes to ourselves, it's like, I think it's hard to be that. Why is it? Why is that?
It's because we know what we actually, if we interpret better, saying like, this is like, we're reading my story, right? Then we understand, no, even though I don't want to be here, I have to go through it anyways. Even going through the resisting of that, we have to go through. So it's kind of like we're watching the story before it happens as it's happening. So we're kind of rejecting the time frame of things. A lot of us readers do that. we'll know it's later. We'll know it's later, but we're picking up on the now, so we beat ourselves up. Instead, you had to go through that challenge, go through that tough period. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, and I think we're all very, as readers, our life purpose is to help others and to be there for others, and also be in our own conscious awareness journey.
And travels,
so
right?
Sometimes we hold on to that. Let's keep seeing if the light makes some changes here, if more awareness comes in. And so I think you're right, though, that timeline part of it could be very complex. That's a whole
blurred. Yeah,
that's a whole entire episode just on that.
Yeah.
I know that for one thing about being here on Earth is that we decided to go through the experience of it. That doesn't mean we were going to like it. I always make a joke about about how like this wasn't on the fucking brochure, man. I know this was not on the brochure, but I know I set up there like, don't tell me the bad stuff. I just want to go down there. I feel like sometimes we have to go through it, and when you go through it, even though your mind does not want to and you're resisting, I still always learn something I would have never learned had I not gone through it. So I see the value of it. I just, think it's one of those times you just got to hold your nose and get through it, which is what this entire life has been.
Yeah, there was no AA med beds on when I came down here. Like, gee.
There still isn't. I'm so pissed about that. 20 minutes of sobriety. 20 minutes of sobriety. Come on. We got to get that in development, guys. Come on. Production.
I know.
Let's get it going. That's a brilliant idea. 20 minutes of sobriety, Christopher. What do you think about that?
I think I was like 40. I mean, it sounds wonderful. Let's up the grade. Yeah, let's do it. I'm down. I think a lot of people are down. So the liquor companies, it's a lot of sales they can just keep repeating.
Right.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But but we were saying, I just want to say before we move to the headlines, is that a lot of people question like prediction, like when they go to get a reading done. I said not every step we take is written in the stars. We still have an outlined destiny and a purpose in our physical life, but sometimes there's different options of how we do it too. And so when I'm reading the future of people, I'm saying, hey, this is how it's rendering. You can shift this here. You can't shift this here. Here's a karmic lesson that's stuck. So there's so many different variables. I think people get so wrapped up that everything is predictable, everything's set in stone. It's not. That's why it's good to go to readers to see what is rendering unconsciously or unfavorable. And we do also put things set in our trajectory too. And so I might say I want to learn self-love, but how I go about learning self-love might have different variables, based on our choices and preferences. So, and then people think nothing's predictable. People think that, just manifest everything, and that's not true either. So when we understand the parameters that we set for ourselves prior to incarnating and, being tuned to that, then we, like we were saying before, know the whole story. So I want to like interject that about predictions. A lot of people question, well, then what's predictable? If I didn't predict divorce, and it's like, well, that divorce could have been predictable or not. Maybe you're choosing a different path now. We do have free will, especially when you're changing your destiny.
When I see a psychic like you or someone who has visionary in the future, I'm going to see what's currently manifesting. And I've actually been to a couple psychics that would say, this is happening. I'm like hell it is. And inside, they're saying, oh, I think it's changed just now. It just changed. I'm like, hell yeah, it did. Once you realize it's unfolding, you can pull back and say no. Right. Most of the time, I find. So the good news of a psychic is to see what timelines are in play, but you always have choices.
Right. Yeah.
Although I will say, because I do agree with you though, but I think there's that other side too, where sometimes the psychic, the reader, the astrologer, like you just can't see it yet, and then it's like a year down the road, and you're like, oh man, that was actually really happening, and that I think that happens a lot too. I think it's both.
Yep.
And I think that's where it's like, it's like sometimes a reader will see so high on the vibrational level that you're sometimes not willing to even know it yet, but you're dealing with the situation. And that's taking away some of your vibrational energy to connect to that same level. And then finally, once you start going through your stuff and you get back to that level, then you're able to connect with what they telephoned you. You know what I mean? Like, there it is.
That's why it takes a really good seasoned reader, because I would always question those things too. It's like they're not going to be the same wavelength. So I have to like go to the future and go back into what's going on now to make sense of it, and then go back. Like it's like tweaking. It's like a mechanical thing you're doing with the people's brains. And so I had to find a way, because I questioned that. Like they're not going to see what I'm seeing. And of course I get damned. I give a reading, predict all these things, and then they damn me for that. A year later it happens, right? And so I had to say that's not helpful. Right. And I'm sure you get that all the time too. It's not helpful. So how can it be more of assistance where they're aware of their future, but I'm connecting it with their now? And I think people who are going to readers need to understand a seasoned reader would do that. I guess that's kind of propping me up on a pedestal a little bit. But speaking of what, I
always tell my clients, listen to the recording when you buy it and get it, because you're going to find there are things you never heard. You never heard me say. You never heard me say that in the whole reading. And it'll shock you that you did not hear it. And you'll realize that your mind completely blocked it out until you get that recording. And I get so many times people coming back up to 3 years later and saying, oh, I just got a letter recently. They're like, I thought you were full of shit. It was a bad reading, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, I just listened to the recording. And, oh my God, everything you said, everything happened. Well, honestly, I don't have a choice. I just give you what I see. So I'm not even really creating the reading. Someone above is either myself or your guides. I'm just being a good communicator and saying what I see, but it's funny how that works.
I think it's funny because I was just at the New Living Expo up in Marin County this last weekend, and I had a couple guys come up to me like, I actually saw you from videos that my girlfriend years ago would watch. This guy do a horoscope every morning, and I've heard this about Chris and I forever, right? Because people have watched our horoscopes for over decades, and it's like either the guy is upset. Most of the guys are upset. So Chris and I've dealt with like emails like, my girlfriend, my wife just watches nonstop horoscopes about you, and that's all they talk about. And it upsets them. Or then you get the guys who are like, damn, I listened. She bailed on the whole entire spiritual thing, and I stayed. Thanks for fucking waking me up, So it's like weird how readings and spirituality like can come into people's lives and how it works out. Because I know Chris gets the same stories,
It's always the girlfriend. And you know what? I'll be there and give a reading, and he'll be like, "Hi, I'm Tom. I don't believe in this bullshit, but thanks for taking my care of my girlfriend." And then 5 years later, it's like, "Hey, dude, can I get a reading?" It's like, because it overwhelming realms. It's usually a woman that introduces to a man who doubts, and so thank God for the women in that sense,
Yeah, I do. I have families. I have little towns I've read the whole town of. So
Wow.
People I never think, or if they come there, I never done something like this before. I decided to give it a try. Like, give me a try. That sounds very demeaning, But yeah, it's funny when you get people who are, sharing like that.
Yeah, it's like you're doing the postman of the town and the liquor store owner, and
so funny,
right? Yeah, that's kind of funny.
We got some
do you guys get
this
comes up, but do you get stuff up that your higher self says, "Do not tell the client this," but Yeah. Yeah, we're stay silent right now. Huh?
Like, there's so many different variables I get with that too. Like, I'll know, and I just say like that's uncarved out or it's not defined right now, and
Yeah, I get that too.
Or it's just like putting it in a way that they're at, like you said, Scott.
Yeah,
where they're at, like, because you know what, to hit them that hard right now, no. But how do I subtly get it to where?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Plant the seed, let them come to it on their own is usually
what you have to be an architect in a reading too. And a lot of readers don't do that. There's an art to reading as well, not just like I see things, so.
Yeah.
But speaking, we have some commercials to run before we get into the topic, the headlines.
All right, then the headlines.
Something is wrong with the world. You can feel it in the static, in the signals, in the fractures no one else wants to see. I thought I was chasing a secret, a hidden code, a machine buried beneath the noise. But the deeper I went, the more reality began to tear. The city opened, the mask came off, and beyond the chaos, there was another world, ancient, radiant, waiting. And in its light, a woman, Lady Avalon, not a dream, not a ghost, a guide, a warning, a key. Spirit Dial was never just technology. It was a doorway, a threshold between what is ending and what comes next. Now the old world is collapsing in plain sight. The new one is already calling. And once you cross that line, once you see what waits on the other side, you do not return the same.
I see it. The gate is open. No. Tell them I'm not coming back. I'm finishing this right now.
The signal has changed. The future is opening. And this is only the beginning.
It's the Spirit Dial. It bridges the fracture.
How long has it been here?
Waiting for you to answer. Waiting for you to answer.
Get your mind blown. Lady Avalon. Only on spiritdial.ai. The signal has changed. The future is opening. And this is only the beginning.
daily step affirmation. Step 2. I materialize, Taurus. I am accepting recent changes to believe in quantum potential. I am accepting recent changes to believe in quantum potential. I am accepting recent changes to believe in quantum potential. Witness your dreams materialize. Visit senseichris.now. And so, it is.
Something is wrong with the world. You can feel it in the static, Something is wrong with the world. You can feel it in the static, in the signals, in the
I think we're calling it going on.
Deja vu. It's like Groundhog Day. That's my birthday too.
We got caught in that fracture. That's what happened. Great, excellent. I think we have some headlines. I'm not sure what century they're from, but let's go for it.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm supposed to read them. First we have the FBI is leading a broad investigation into the deaths and disappearance of at least 11 scientists and researchers with ties to classified aerospace, nuclear, and advanced propulsion programs since 2022. The cases have drawn scrutiny from the House Oversight Committee over potential national scrutiny threats.
Ugh.
Christopher. What do you think?
I think, first of all, China knows everything anyways. There's no national security. I don't think there's any real secrets anymore, first of all. So
no.
I don't think we have to make it public, but give me a break.
Right.
But also, if you're at this point, if you say to me, and you're in Congress, and you say to me, we should be careful of national secrets, I want them investigated first. It's like I'm at a point where I'm tired of people being missing. This is an old story since the 50s, right?
Mm-hmm.
This deep state of technology and UFOlogy. This isn't. We all know this is true. We've all seen Area 51. So let's rip it open and see what's in there. It's time to.
Yeah,
I think especially these scientists all come from anti-gravity propulsion research.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it, though, is also connected to time and time travel.
Right.
When you're connecting the dots from the Epstein files and all the scientists that were all paid to do some really weird work, now these are all scientists connected at different universities with huge grants and very sensitive information. And now it was supposed to be released, all of the disclosure stuff on April 14th, and that just passed. And they didn't bring everything out. But this has been building up since 2022. And then even in these last couple months, just like out of nowhere, it was just like, this scientist is missing, this scientist is missing, this one's missing. And they're all, some of them, one of them was an Air Force commander. And the 911 call from his wife is like, he left everything here. He came here, he was in it. And then he just, I don't know, he's on foot maybe. He's just like, and he's never done this in his life. He's been in the Air Force commander for 50 years, like doing all that, and now he's gone. So it's kind of intense because these people are all part of the very sensitive stuff, because I think what's been coming out the most with the Epstein files, because there was a lot about science and technology, then you're getting the disclosure element, and now we're getting this stuff is like CERN things. It's definitely about time and space, weird ways that other,
Well, that's yes. I mean, I agree. I agree. It could be.
Oh, there he went, just like that commercial.
He just entered into that vortex.
The portal, he went right in.
But like I was saying, I think that a lot of it has to do. Are they disappearing because they are time traveling?
That's what I was going to ask. That was my joke. Yeah.
Right? Are they disappearing because they're being outed, or are they disappearing because they're going into hiding? So these are things I'm thinking about too, because the timing about all this is very sus. Like you said, the focus on Epstein files, and even Tim Cook resigned. Do you hear that from Apple?
Yeah, I saw that.
What?
That just happened.
Wow. Yeah. He did, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
I sell your Apple shares.
I mean,
right
they made
now,
it
guys.
subtle.
Sell your Apple right now.
Something's coming, obviously. So that I think it could be multi-layered. A lot of these people could be time traveling, getting sucked in. Same thing with CERN, opening up that portal back in 2020. And so I think there's a lot of different variables to that. But the guy just left his wallet and stuff behind. I mean, that's odd.
And his phone.
And his phone.
All of it.
that sounds like, I don't know. Time travel surprises me. Like, we're really spending that much money on time travel with our government. It's like, what are you going to do? Go back to 1950 or what? Where will you go in the future? Obviously, but every time we hear a future story, it's all negative and dark. So from what I understand, there's many timelines. So what timeline do you arrive at? But like the Philadelphia experiment, you remember that ship disappeared and came back with people like embedded into the steel? Ever heard that story? I mean, that's allegedly true. Where they tried to put, this huge ship into electromagnetic waves, and the ship reports being in sea when they ended up like in sea in the Atlantic, and then they came back. And, they report being gone for a long time, but witnesses say they're gone for a moment. But when they came back, their bodies, like some bodies, were infused in the hull of the ship. It was like really gross. There's a movie that came out about it too. So it seems like we've been farting around with this for a while.
Oh, yeah,
but
totally.
What are we trying to do? Go back and win what? What are we going to do? Seriously,
that also makes me think about the Bermuda Triangle too, like that whole thing about people going kind of like getting lost or disappearing. It's like, is that a vortex? Is that maybe a portal for, So I mean, I always questioned that. I don't know too much about the Bermuda Triangle so much, but just the idea of that, though.
I always feel it's where Atlantis' technology landed. I feel like Atlantis technology is still running. It's at the bottom of the sea right there in that Bermuda Triangle. That's what I've always felt.
Well, I also think it's interesting because this week as well, a whistleblower came out that worked for OpenAI with Sam Altman and saying that the whole Stargate project, that $500 billion project, like that he's been using AI and all these data centers to summon portals for aliens, right? And it's all over the place now. And it's a former OpenAI employee that's blowing the whistle about building portals and summoning aliens using AI.
That doesn't surprise me, actually, because the story of Earth is that after the Earth was flooded by the angels and a specific race that hurled a comet into the ocean, it was to allegedly exterminate the reptilians that then went underground. And apparently at that point, we closed their portals down and did not allow them to go intergalactic. So they've been stuck underground, allegedly, forever. So perhaps they are trying to open those portals up. I don't know.
Well, if you were one of those scientists and actually that was going on, maybe it's like they're not allowed to tell their families, and they're just like, we're out of here. We got to go and do this work. Now, one of them, the first one, she did unalive herself, right? Even though she said she didn't and wouldn't. And she was the one that started this whole thing. So the first one didn't make it through. So that's what I think makes it kind of a very interesting story, because the relationship between the same field, the first person did unalive themselves, but now we're at this place to where now you're getting, Tim Cook resigns. Oh, Sam Altman's summoning portals to bring aliens through. I mean, I think they're not being like taken out. They're being taken somewhere for some crazy stuff.
That's the thing, right? That's the thing. They're into whatever they've been working on too, and there's some different reasons, and going to hiding, so there's a lot of different layers to it.
It'd be cool if we watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind and we find that those people missing come off the ship in the movie now, or some crazy shit like that. That'd be cool. Give me some sort of trans work.
I really want to go get mashed potatoes and make a mountain right now. I just have this idea. I gotta go, guys.
Feeling the pull to Utah. All right.
Well, Trump drops a bombshell order, psychedelics fast-tracked for mental health. The executive order explicitly highlights ibogaine compounds and directs faster FDA reviews for psychedelics, including psilocybin and MDMA. Psilocybin, and MDMA. I don't know. I'm happy this is in people's consciousness, but I don't want the government having control now of the psychedelic aspect. I don't want them having any sort of regulations or control over it.
They have that control the whole time, though. They've been preventing it. I don't know. I've never met a person who, you can have a bad trip or whatever, but if you're going to trip, you're doing it in front of a professional. I don't think that's a bad idea, because like when they let out ketamine, right? Like in Colorado, you could do ketamine like increments, and people come back who had gone to the Middle East and had all sorts of war shock, PTSD, whatever you call it now, came back, did like 6 sessions of it, and they were fine. They rebooted. Some of these medicines that God gave us and made for us, I don't think ketamine is one of them, but mushrooms are for sure. Really, they do remap your neuron matrix, and you can come out different. I know I did.
But the point I'm saying is, if now the government's getting involved in the regulation of such, how do we know we're getting such pure substances anymore moving forward? Is what I'm saying.
You'll need old hippie to tell you, oh, this ain't the shit. I'll tell you it's better.
Well, especially if they go generic, right? Generic MDMA. I mean, so back when MDMA came out in the 80s, actually it was the pharmaceutical companies making it for testing, and that was the bomb stuff to get. And then the bomb stuff to get on the open market was from the Netherlands, right? And so actually you kind of do want pharmaceutical grade MDMA, but psilocybin, of course, like there's of course different forms of that. There's of course like the raw from an actual like fungus mushroom that is traditional, or there's mescaline, which can be done and synthesized. But then the ibogaine, I think, is important the most, especially for people who use opioids, because I have a buddy who did use it and was very hooked on heroin, oxys, all of it, and it worked. Whereas I have friends who have passed away from that horrible addiction, and it tears families apart.
Yeah.
And the only way you can get ibogaine is going like down to parts of Mexico and South America right now to get in. And it is kind of like a ceremony. Like it is not just like a one like pill thing that you take for an hour. It's like a trip, but it's not extremely psychedelic for ibogaine, but there is still some of that to that. But I do think it's the right door to open. And I do think it is part of this new world. I think we need to look at the positive things. I think it's better than the other crap they're putting out there, for sure.
I agree.
I wish everyone would try it once, honestly, because I feel like once you realize how unreal life is, it puts everything in a whole new perspective, and you only need it once, really. I would say that perspective once. But I do know that it has helped people who get lost in neural mapping in their mind. And I'd rather have us try that than be on an antidepressant, for instance. I think those are probably more poison in my experience.
I'm just upset because they also didn't add MDA, because actually MDA is really good. But I'm sure they did get, maybe that's part of the MDMA. But yeah, I think that honestly, I mean, in therapy, that's what it was originally for. And it helps in therapy for relationships the most. It's the most heart-opening substance you can find.
Yeah, they used to use that back in the day.
It was called the love drug. That was like what it came out as.
And therapy back in the day.
Honestly, I think the world needs that more than ever. Somebody made an AI of Trump on E, like raving.
Oh my God.
I'm like, give Trump some MDMA right now.
It's surprising that he did it as a conservative. I mean, this is the most anti-conservative thing he's ever done, I would say, as far as the agenda of that right. So, I think you cannot classify this president under any term, really. He's on his own path.
But my concern, as I was saying before, if we're starting here, like, does that then they start taking over with shrooms? They start going to other aspects of the natural psychedelics to where they start regulating that and having control over that. And so that's kind of my concern about the government tapping into this field, in the long term, and the vast nature of psychedelics on the natural front.
I will say, though, if you were to try and find MDMA now, you're not getting that. Most of the time you test it, it's a Chinese knockoff stimulant, and then people think they're rolling balls when really they're tripping out on some Chinese knockoff, really bad. It's not even, and there's no love in it, and people are like, I got Molly, and it's like, no, you don't. I always have a test kit. Like, no, you don't.
You've got Colgate.
It's yellow. It's orange. It's not dark purple. Sorry, black. It's not that. Sorry, you got the yellow. It's the. And I'll tell them what it is, and they're like, "What? The guy who sold me this." And that's the problem, is that in the early 2000s, when raving was at its peak, and actually it was Joe Biden who created the Rave Act, right? That really was going to get the promoter and put him in jail, right? If you saw a gas mask, that's why gas masks raised. They said no more, because that was like their way to entry. But what happened was people started making fake pills, and that's what happened with oxys, and then that's what's happened with all these fentanyl deaths.
Yeah, they do that on the street
to find people on the black market making the real crap is near impossible. And Silk Road was the only way to do that. I used to have to get that stuff from the Netherlands shipped crazy, like, back in the day. So anyway.
Well, talking about going into space land, SpaceX is holding closed-door analysis meetings this week as it prepares for what could become the world's first largest IPO, potentially valued up to $1.75 trillion after merging with XAI. The company is highlighting its Starlink's orbital AI capabilities and must vision for multi-planetary infrastructure. I think it's a good move. I think that gives more people it brings more awareness. And I think it also starts a trend, for others to compete in this space. So I think it's a good avenue to go to. What do you think about that, Chris?
I'm a little concerned. I mean, it kind of feels like the Umbrella Company coming, like if you guys know the video game, like it's kind of becoming so large now, AI, the X platform, and even, even X where people are posting. I'm a little concerned about having companies this big. I don't know why. Is that so he has borrowing power? Why would you do that? Why would you make every asset you have one superpower? Doesn't it make borrowing maybe easier? But then again, I don't know.
I mean, I think what he's doing is like, it's all the most biggest kind of infrastructure. I mean, SpaceX itself, right? Like the idea of going to space, consumer-based space access, right? Whether it's to actually fly to the moon one day or get to Mars. But mainly when he did Starlink, it was like, oh, we're already using these rockets that I'll get the satellites up. Now he's got it set to where he's got Grok, and then XAI bought, is Grok, but bought X, right? Because he was in a deal that is redacted. We can't see all the investors. And then he's got SpaceX. But I think it's great because I think it's I have Starlink and I've been using it for the last couple of weeks on my trips. Without it, I don't know what I'd be doing. It is the best technology ever. It's like a dream come true. Like to be anywhere and have 500 gigs down and like 100 gigs up wherever I'm at is awesome. And I think, it's interesting because part of this story is that it was just announced yesterday that XAI is going to buy Cursor, which is the IDE platform for AI coding to build programs and do things with, right? For $60 billion. But if they don't stay working with them, there's a guarantee to Cursor for $10 billion, no matter what. Which I think is great because Cursor for me was the doorway to AI coding, to use all the different models and to create awesome programs as I do. Of course, I stay on Codex now, but it's like I still have my Cursor. I still pay $200 a month for it because it's that powerful to change your life. You want to make anything in the world, and the fact that that's not included in this headline, but I think Elon is doing more than any other human being alive to give the people access to things that the elites only have had. Like he's actually doing it, and then almost in many ways gatekeeping the elites out because he's outpacing them. And it does feel like with Pluto and Aquarius and Uranus coming to Gemini, this is where the people come together with these kind of things. I mean, honestly, I don't see.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a fear of having the over dominance, as Chris was saying, but I also feel like too it creates more leadership in this avenue to where other people can maybe have more competitors and becomes a new norm. Especially this type of using satellite for internet, use satellite for cell phone calling. That could become a norm because of this leadership and innovation with this. So that's the IPO part of this is great, and gets people to invest in rocket launches and to be more part of what's going. And I think it's also gives a chance for financial transparency now too, it being an IPO and going that direction. So
that's true.
It makes it more transparent in that regard. I
kind of still sense, and this is my theory, that Elon is the one responsible for Mars going extinct, his soul, and he's reincarnated, and his price is to bring him back to Mars. I feel like that's his karma. And I think that's why people feel like it may be potential darkness in him, because he was at one point, in the soul's lifetime. But I do feel like now he's on a good path. I like that there's something that challenges the Defense Department's budget. And I like you just said that there's something that is all transparent as far as where their costs are going. Right. We don't know where our, black money goes to in our Defense Department at all. We have no idea. I'm glad that Boeing finally has a competitor they're afraid of, and things like that too. McDonnell Douglas, that's good too, keeping them in check. But I think you're right, David. I think it's probably because they're trying to get rid of investors, just clopping off of those old investors, getting full control over your board and your investors. That's probably the motivation here, but it's still a pretty big company, man.
Yeah, but I think, going up against all the, basically, I mean, the Russian space world, and, you're taking on NASA, right? Like, what he's doing is he's proven that a private company can do better than the governments of the world in space. That is what SpaceX has proved. Like, this whole Artemis 2 was a joke. The whole thing.
I know.
I mean, like, if
good point.
So I think there's that. The reason why it's so big is because SpaceX by itself is beating the government of the world with going to space. Like makes NASA look embarrassing. They usually use SpaceX to save them. Last year, SpaceX saved the astronauts that got stuck at the space station.
It's pretty
because Boeing is messing up and can't create crap. So I think that's
crazy and true.
I think if you were to look at the numbers, it's like 75% of the money is all that rocketry and SpaceX, and then all the rest of the stuff is underneath. But I think because he wants to make AI more accessible and cool it off and use space for it, he's really, I mean, that guy's he thinks about the future. And that guy, I mean, it's kind of crazy because he's a double cancer. So he does care. I mean, I think he does care. I think he really wants humanity to win. Yep. He's always advocated that. So
because he let Mars down.
There's something he has behind him too. They're innovators too. Like there's a lot of other masterminds he has behind him as well. That's really helpful. It's not just Elon.
The people behind, but those people need a good job and a good leader. When that rocket landed itself, the first time I saw it, I was like, Jesus Christ, man, are we stupid in NASA? Like, oh my God, just the idea of a rocket landing itself. I mean, that looks pretty hard to do. You know what I mean? Like, and it does itself on a ship at sea, for crying out loud. That alone impresses me. That alone impresses me.
Yeah, somebody had said, and it is true, he has Mars and Aquarius in his chart. Right. So what Chris is channeling, like, I think there's definitely that, like, oh, I need to make, Mars about people, not about blowing everybody up on Mars. Like, I think it is that humanitarian side of things that he's probably karmically doing. So
he wants to go home.
Yeah. Speaking of innovation, Japanese construction giant envisions encircling the lunar equator with solar cells, taking advantage of the moon's lack of atmosphere and weather for nonstop generation. Power would be transmitted wirelessly to receiving stations on Earth, offering a futuristic path to abundant renewable energy. That's going to take a lot, I would say, because then they're going to have AI robots there to adjust and to maintain. And so I think it's far-fetched, but I think it's a good direction, I would say, for sure.
I think go on.
I was just saying, what happens if you get in front of that beam? Like, what the hell's how do you transfer power from wirelessly from one place to another? There's got to be some crazy beam that, like, if your shuttle to the moon gets in front of it, that sounds dangerous. But okay.
What do you mean? Because they position the solar panels on the moon, which gets sourced from the sun, and then they can transmit that power wirelessly. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to be wirelessly with that power. Yeah, I don't know.
How's that happen? Like, I guess there's law. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you cut a new Grand Canyon if you're off by an inch. I don't know.
I was going to say, when it comes to the Japanese and our own oceans, I don't trust them with anything. I mean, they are the biggest, fisher, like the fish and what they do. So for them to go, you know what, let's start messing with the moon and with the solar and beaming all this energy. Fix your damn oceans. Get your fish. Like the Japanese, they rely on imports because they are small, island, country, basically. They are not exporters, except for electronics like they used to be, but only Sony still in the game and like Nintendo. So I think that, and Canon. So it's like, I think that's the problem, is like, it's also a country with like the lowest birth rates.
I was going to say, it's because they stopped having sex.
Right. Like Japan is a place that honestly, like in 20, 30 years, could you call it Japanese? Like, are those Japanese people left? Like, I think I think they have smart people, but I don't think that they have like the infrastructure of a society to be able to continue these kind of innovative ideas. Maybe they could help, but I think
it doesn't seem practical. I mean, where are these stations on Earth can be set up? Where and what communities? How big are they going to be? Like, and the radiation effects of getting. I don't know. I just feel like it's just too far fetched.
Somebody brought the whole Fukushima thing, and I forgot about that. Not only the fishing, but also they know how to throw nuclear waste into the ocean after a huge tsunami and just act like nothing happened. Like, you know what I mean? And it's still leaking in the ocean. So.
Never needed to happen. As a son who my dad did nuclear reactor protection through the entire United States in the 80s. He put in a lot of systems, and U.S. plants are designed to actually self-sabotage before they'll ever melt. They have a chemical compound at the top that will put out the reactor, ruins the plant, $4 or $5 billion plant, but doesn't get to the people in the United States. Other countries that we've had disasters, they don't have this self-sabotage mechanism, right. And so they end up sabotaging the Earth. So I agree. They are not qualified to build something that will not kill us. Not yet. I don't trust him. And Sony's going, go to Sony. I don't see it as I don't see it as a technology engine, innovator anymore. I think the fact they're not having sex, like the men are not getting married. I mean, I don't know why. They're just isolating themselves. They work too hard, apparently. I don't know what it is, but there's something weird in that culture, and Korea has taken over. I mean, as far as technology, low-cost technology innovation. Yeah.
I mean, I forgot their cameras, like Sony cameras, and their TVs are still kind of a leading technology, but
can't do it all.
And you know what? There they have a little issue with some of their, let's just say, sexual fantasies that are weird, right? So I think that is proof that it could lead to depopulation.
The Walkman was the height of their success, probably.
The
Walkman.
Well, the last one we have is UFO researcher David Wilcock reportedly dies at 53. And unconfirmed reports claim David Wilcock died by suicide on April 20th, 2026, after Boulder County Sheriff's deputies respond to a mental health crisis call near Nederland, Colorado. While no official identification has been released by the coroner, the location and timing had led to widespread speculation in UFO and alternative media communities. And we have a few clips to run about this too.
Clips.
I would love to see you guys talk to David Wilcock.
In fact, he's here. That's good.
I wouldn't mind talking to him.
I just think that he took a lot of risks to put himself out there, and I think the other thing I like about him is that he doesn't take himself too seriously.
It's got a Pisces. Pisces is like two fish swimming in different ways. Like there's a good Wilcox and there's a Wilcox that just undermines that good Wilcox.
I mean, it is just such a wild time to be alive. It's so insane. It's so crazy, but at the same time, we have all these interesting things going on that involve, higher consciousness and extraterrestrials and disclosure. But I want you to never give up hope or forget your true calling. It's very important that we stick to the calling. We are all on this inexplicable, massive journey together, and life is never going to be dull at this point in time. So again, please stay true to your inner calling by reflecting and calling upon your own inner Christ self. It's a difficult time, don't get me wrong, but yes, I do believe that the planet itself will be okay. I mean, individually, you have to mind your own karma. You have to be able to stay on top of everything. But yes, I do believe the planet will be okay. You got to watch out for your own self, watch out for your own business. So I'm really happy that I got to bring you the show today, guys. I didn't know if I was going to do one. I was really down. My energy has been really down from these symptoms that I've been having. It's been very hard to work. I've had a really low energy situation, but the more that I can get ahead of the game and get back on track, the better it's going to be.
As many of you know, or have learned, yesterday on 4/20, David Wilcock took his own life. He never hurt anyone. He never denigrated, talked down to anyone. He treated everyone well. And he brought such a huge body of knowledge and information to this world. I hope people remember him and respect him for that. The amount of relentless cyber-stalking, bullying, attacking everyone close to you until they turn on you or abandon you. This is something that was done systematically for a long time. The people that cyberbullied him to this point are now claiming victory and making videos of celebration. David made a big difference in a lot of people's lives. He did not deserve to have his reputation completely destroyed for sport. You declare someone a grifter or this or that, and then, it is now open rein for me to do everything possible to destroy them. It takes a lot to get someone to a point where they take their own life. And these people are not only not ashamed of it, they're celebrating it. So enough is enough, people.
Wow, that's interesting. That was us bringing it up 2 weeks ago. In fact, there's a couple things. We were talking about psychedelics in the last few episodes, and we're talking about Dave Wilcock. So we're definitely a psychic show in the sense the topics we're choosing are going to become perhaps popular later on. I don't know who's Corey Good talking about. I mean, he makes these claims that people are celebrating. Does he have footage? I mean, is it online he's talking about in strings like Facebook and Twitter?
I mean, I would assume. I mean, David Wilcox has gotten a lot of crap for a long time, so that's kind of like a known thing that he's been kind of getting a lot of scrutiny this way. So I'm sure, but I don't think he's providing that. But I've seen a lot of discussions, against him throughout the years.
I have a friend of Michelle Jones sent me an article today that a lot of these attacks are AI bots. That we have an issue with AI bots actually deliberately attacking people to sway public opinion. That's something we should bring up in a future episode. Maybe have Michelle on, but I wonder how much is really haters and what is really just a cell phone tower in the desert.
And you see I see there's bots arguing with each other. I've seen, they're like talking, arguing with each other, and so I wouldn't. And right now, all I have to do is put, whoever's in charge and dictating the information, can just push one button, have that all sent out, and have a huge swing, a lot of influence too. And like Dave and I were talking about this before the show when you were just away, that they have so many different ways that I feel like those are in control, can use certain frequencies and other influence through technology to sway people to become suicidal. So there could be an idea that perhaps he did physically out himself, but he was pushed to it through the psychological manipulation through technology and pushed to the influences. Right now, I think that they have so much control with technology in that way, they can also influence people's perspectives and mindsets and mental health, and
100%
erode naturally.
Look, my fallout was antidepressant. It was an antidepressant that I've been taking over and over again. I won't name the actual drug, but I was taking it as prescribed, and then suddenly I had voices. It was like it came on like a radio station, and there is stuff that came through the psychic channel that was encouraging me to do harm to myself or others. There was absolutely, and I told doctors they just listened and wanted to give me a bigger prescription or a different prescription. They did not even for 1 second listen to what I was telling them. So I can totally believe that even his own doctor could be, to some degree, not deliberately, but just by prescribing, it's very possible. That technology is available right now in a pill. I know that for a fact. I've experienced it.
I think what's very complicated about the situation is we have the police report that they showed up to his house. He came out, he had a gun, and then he offed himself.
In front of the police.
The property, and there was nobody on there. So there was no altercation with that why he had the weapon. But if you watch his live stream, it's very hard because you see the David Wilcock that honestly is the one we love. The very keep it together spiritually, the disclosure, to stay above these crazy times. He was unhappy that the files didn't come out on April 14th. But then he also mentioned all the stress he's been under. He goes into some weird characters on his lives, and that one was really weird. He puts the glasses on and starts talking all weird. He also was talking about how much weight he had lost, because if you see, he had lost a lot of weight, and he starts showing his veins. Like, see him like getting veins and stuff, and so it's like he was still there with his spirituality. Of course, he also claimed in the video that he would never off himself for the spiritual purpose. But we also don't really know, and I think you're right, Chris, and Scott said it too many times. Like, I think they use these drugs to take people over, or it could be direct energy weapon stuff. I think we need to see some body cam footage from these police if that's what they saw before we know for sure. But like, it's hard because it's both. There was something definitely going on with him mentally, and there was a guy just like really hitting some very hard truths that kind of go with the way that the scientist missing situation is. So maybe he's missing because of that, but the coroner just in the last couple hours came out and confirmed it was him. But
he pulls a gun and kills himself when the police arrive.
But that's what I'm saying. I really feel that he, I feel pushed and infiltrated using technology to get him to be in these mental states. I don't know. I felt like his last show it felt kind of, I don't want to say cryptic, but it kind of felt like he knew.
That clip just felt cryptic. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So, but I feel like he was infiltrated. And they don't just out people right away either abruptly because it looks too suspicious too. Obviously, we've had these 11 deaths we were just talking about. But I think with someone who's in the public eye, they do it slowly. That's what, if they really want to out someone, they do it slowly. They make them go a little crazy. So then people start doubting their words and messages.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I feel. How it was pushed. Yeah.
Well, and I think you add on top, that's what happens with men. The highest, suicide rates are men. And he lived alone in Colorado in that compound for many, many years. Okay. Like his last girlfriend, wife left him. He was going through the lawsuit stuff. He was going through, and honestly, I don't think Corey Good's good. Right. So like, I actually like what Cliff Hyde just put out saying Corey Good, the video that was shown, that's to better Corey Good now to look like he's a great guy now because he used to work with David Icke. So he even admitted in the video, like I talked to him before my birthday in February. Like, okay, you're obviously not that close to him. Yeah. Right. Like if you were that close to him, you've been talking to him like last week. So like Corey Good's using this for his own gain because Corey Good's a lot of the problem behind David Icke or David Wilcock.
Yeah. Wilcock. Right? Yeah.
So I think that if anything, Cliff Hyde said it best, like it's better to be an enemy with Corey Good because his friends don't end up too well.
There's a track record. Wasn't he supposed to, David Wilcock, testify in a Gaia lawsuit?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're still going in those lawsuits right now, still.
Yeah. Yeah.
So suddenly this main witness is gone. I know, sus to me, man.
Well, I mean, but then there's the stress toll and so maybe some of the stuff Corey Good said is true, right? But he is kind of trying to throw himself into the.
Oh, I felt opportunistic. Absolutely.
And so I think that's where it gets really complicated here because I'd say this is the most complicated one, and that's why it's gotten so much attention. And the fact that the media just started covering it, like People Mag just put it up 4 hours ago. Right. So like, people are paying attention, and when it's all over the internet and the media ain't covering it, that's why I think it makes people really suspicious in today's world. Right. But now the media is covering it. Now the coroner report just comes out that it is him.
Right.
And I think, that's what makes it really hard.
Right.
Because, like when a celebrity dies, it's instant right away. But if it's in these kind of offset places, it doesn't get the same attention right away. And so I think it makes people feel like something's going on. And maybe sometimes, like, I'll be honest, I know people might hate me, but I got a feeling he was not doing well mentally at all. And that could have bad, negative stuff that was happening.
But that could maybe not be his fault. I mean, he's talking about symptoms and tired and fatigue. I was like, what's causing that? Like, why are you so run down alone on a compound? Like, that is what raised an eyebrow to me. Is like, why is he feeling so bad? Why is he so tired? What's wrong in the first place?
But that's what I'm saying. We've been seeing a massive decline. And so, and I think that people have other ways and just outing people slowly, like I said before. So I think it was a mental stress, like you're saying before. He's doing a lot of other things that was compiling on top of him, and people are out to get him too. So I think it's all the above. It's not so black and white. I think people are being very black and white about this. There's been almost like a gradual decline with all this. And I do feel like he's been infiltrated, like I said previously with technology, that pushed him to do all this. And also the stress of being human in it.
It feels like foul play. It just feels, a strong foul play vibe I get psychically. I don't know how. It feels very complicated. I can't put the finger to where. Someone of our viewers wrote, who called the police anyways? Who called the police and why? Who called the police?
That would be a great answer to actually get because.
Yeah. Why?
Like that seems.
That's suspicious.
Right.
Like a neighbor?
I think for like the decline that Scott's talking about, like that's very clear. Like he would talk about for like on those shows like 4 months ago, like I had to shovel the snow on my roof and in my gutters, and like that's why I can't do anything. Like, okay, that's part of life. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you got a compound, like you got a house, like.
But again,
I'm a dad. Like he's not a dad,
right? But again, if somebody wants to interfere with his message and has control to do so, they're going to want to make him look crazy. So they want to infiltrate him so then people start doubting his information and think it's not credible because he's going crazy. And then I feel like he's been pushed to this point of outing himself. So yeah, I definitely feel I agree with you. It's both. I feel like he took his life, but he also was pushed to it with foul play. So to me, it's both. I feel both energies.
I always felt it was pretty ballsy to have a show on Gaia that outed a secret government space program. I was like, how are you getting away with that?
Well, they canceled that show that shows off Gaia, like his main one from 2016.
Why? What happened? Do you know the story about that one? I mean,
because then Gaia started getting so that's the issue, right? With Gaia not wanting to put the real hardcore shit out there, becoming it's neutered.
Oh,
right? Like Gaia became neutered.
But it got bought out, I think,
so
too.
If you think about it,
David
Wilcock did kind of expose Gaia to be neutered spirituality, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's cut the balls off the dog here. We don't want any big Rottweilers around here, and make it all fluff cake stuff. And we'll talk about disclosure stuff, but let's not get too deep. So you got to give him the credit for that. I just think though that the decline has been hard because if you know anybody with really bad at mental illness, like the way he conducted his shows, the stuff he would just ramble off and say, this was the stuff I talked about 2 weeks ago too. Like he was channeling from his old journal from the 90s and trying to make it that it was like Nostradamus prophecies of now. And then he stopped doing that recently. Right. So, and then he was very Q. Let's not forget, right? So like a lot of his shows were based off Q stuff. Then all the Epstein stuff. Now he started to have to defend himself about Trump stuff, about the war that he doesn't want. And he was all Trump, right? Like pushing Trump and Q hard. And then that just flipped. So if you have mental illness and you're a Q full-blown guy, and now the guy that you're supposed to believe, trust the plan, and you're spiritual, and it's about war, that you could see the conflict even in his last show. Like, I mean, I don't agree with him, and Trump is kind of going crazy and putting the pictures of Jesus up, and he was not happy about all that stuff. It's like his whole entire belief system fell. And so he had to go back to the beginning roots of being spiritual.
Did you see that comment from a viewer that his biographer died 2 days prior? Is that true? We should check that out on commercial.
His what?
His biographer died 2 days prior. Did you see that? I mean, someone just put that up as a clip. One of our viewers put that up.
We should do that backstage, actually. And I think we should probably head over there now.
Backstage. That's probably true.
Yeah, that's true.
You look up Wilcock's chart, right?
Scott Cruz is popularly known for his life-changing one-on-one readings to also guide in your soul ascension journey. With life readings, get insight into your relationships, career, health, trauma healings, past life regressions, and more. Want to connect with a loved one who's transitioned? Scott's mediumship session can be the gateway to you and your loved ones in spirit bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual realm. If you want to enhance your own psychic ability, Scott's Intuition Builder session can help expand your psychic and mediumship abilities. So sign on to scottcruzpm.com to book your own personal session today.
I don't know what that was about.
The klutzy one. Why always the klutzy one? Who's making these?
I have no clue. Klutzy one falling. I don't know why we just stood on the floor there too. And I don't know why I fell with you guys. That made no sense. So are we doing the topic now? Or are we going to go backstage and do the topic backstage? Because we're 10 over.
Backstage. What are we at? What's our TRT right now? We're at 109.
110.
Yeah, you should probably go backstage, y'all. As you can see, people are dying. So we've got to put some of the stuff behind firewalls and behind paywalls, also pay for the staff. So if you wouldn't mind, please coming down and being part of our backstage community where everything is safe and enchanted. It's at enchanted.now. That's where our communities. And this is the actual link here. And
there'll be one feed in that community. So like if you're watching on my YouTube or Scott's or, all that's about to be turned off, you got to go here.
Yeah, totally. This is a shared community that we're just investing in this particular product. So Yep. Come us backstage. We're going to continue this live after we go for the little intermission and pick up some hot topics. And also,
we'll look at his chart because that's like the number one demand. Chris and I and Scott will look at Wilcock's chart.
Yes, I'm going to pull it up here on the little break. Yeah. So please come and join us there. It's definitely worth the money, where we can all be honest with each other, and you can post honestly too. It's a great time to get together. I think we need to start gathering, and this is a good time to start. And it's a good example. So come on backstage. See, we'll talk to you there, huh?
Yeah, and tomorrow I'm doing. Sorry about that. I forgot that too. Doing my live show tomorrow, Emerging with Divine Consciousness and live readings, as I do every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to give you the blueprint, what it means to merge with divine consciousness, and how that can convey with your in personal life and your physical life. And so, and of course, doing live one-on-one readings as well as I do every week. So join me tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. I had to reschedule last time. Okay, yeah, because my dog was ill and he's doing better now. So just people were asking. So he bounced back quick. They thought he had Addison's disease, or treating for Addison's disease, which comes out of the blue, even if he's perfectly healthy. So I don't know for sure, but we're treating him, and so far the treatment has worked. He was critical. I mean, he was really, we could have lost him. That's how bad it got. So, he's doing
that was extreme energy that we all went through. And there was a lot of people who just left this planet.
Yes. My dog was like seriously about to go. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, we just out of nowhere, so it's been heavy.
The Venus on Uranus right now is the portal. Hold on to yourself, folks.
Your dog is so lucky to have you.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously,
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you for that.
He's that's really what usually it comes down to. Some people don't take it serious enough, and they just think, he'll get better, she'll get better, and it's like, no, you got to be proactive with animals. They're there for us all the time. We don't have to be there that much, but when we do, we got to show up fully.
It's true. Yeah, I don't care how much it costs. I mean, whatever I had to do,
Well, your pup is super lucky to have you.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. Thank you.
Charging way too much, though. We should get on vets at some point on the show, because they have been just. God, I spent more on vets than I have on myself. I'll tell you that right now.
Even the dentist, more than the dentist, and that's a lot.
I know. They seriously are. You go there, it's like, okay.
But vets are dentists too. Don't forget about that.
That's true.
Even when they pass away, the cost. I had a dog that died, and oh God, just the cost of the whole cost of everything, including him being.
The one that was at the old house in Thousand Oaks.
Yeah. Well, that was.
What's his name again?
His name was Chris. But I had another dog.
I forgot.
Narcissist.
What a narcissist. His name was Chris. The whole story. I'll tell you backstage.
I will talk about that dog backstage, because I know that dog.
He was crazy. He was good, amazing. Chris. Yeah, I did not name him. He was named Chris, and that's how I knew he was my dog.
Chris, I swear.
Yeah, we called him Chris.
What a narcissist.
Yeah. No, I did not. I swear to God, I'll tell you the story.
Come on, Chris.
I remember being stoned and being like, Chris, but I'm talking to the dog. And
We're
Chris
both turning.
Like, huh?
That's true.
They both had their tongues out too, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, Chris, get outside. Like, what? No, I'm talking to Chris the dog.
The dog listens more, though. That's the thing.
That's true.
The dog listens more than this one.
He was.
All right, we're going backstage.
Yeah. All right, we'll go backstage. We'll see you guys back there. See y'all. Join us.
Get on there now. I'm stopping my YouTube.
All right.
Backstage. We're going backstage. Go now. Go now.
Song yet. Still gotta do the song.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna get a dog and name it David.
I'm gonna get a dog and name it David Scott.
David
Scott. Not David.
I'll get a dog and name it Scott.
Oh, he's gonna name his dog David.
Hey, what's up? I'm the Leo King, celebrity astrologer David Palmer. And you might be asking yourself, what is a celebrity astrologer? Am I an astrologer, and do I do astrology just for celebrities? You know, being a celebrity astrologer is about embodying a lot. Not only being an astrologer and of course doing readings for celebrities, but it's about connecting the astrologer aspect to the media, to the world. You know, embodying the model part of myself or the TV personality that I've been in my life to connect to this 21st century and to connect to this new world with social media and with television.
And Hollywood is tapping into the spirit world through psychics.
Celebrities want to find their power of self.
Untold with Maria Menounos, tonight at 8 on E!
Especially, astrologers have been around for thousands of years on royal courts. They've been doing it for kings and queens. I mean, bringing the astrologer back into society. It's almost like being an astrologer has been axed out and we've been kind of put into our own little weird world. And I think that it's very important to utilize, you know, all the aspects of connecting to what we think of celebrity and pop culture and bringing these ancient science practices and all this wisdom to the mainstream world. And that's why, you know, building a studio like this here at the Leo King Studios and High Vibe Studios has been part of it, to be able to create my own networks, to create my own content.
And a Taurus is gonna have their worth and be a little bougie like you, and it will work out. You can't go with a cheap person or somebody who doesn't know their worth. Guys who don't have self-worth is your biggest turnoff.
That is! If you're not a confident man, get to stepping. I can't deal.
And then as time went by, I went on another big reality show called ABC True Beauty, and I went on and I said, you know what, I'm gonna tell the world I'm an astrologer. It's time. It's time to really own this. Because you have to remember, being an astrologer is a little scary. You have religious people who think you're the devil, and then you have the scientific community who think you're schizophrenic. So there's this element of dealing with this aloneness in many ways, of like having to have the courage to follow what a lot of people think is a belief, kind of like religion, which it's not. Astrology is a bridge between the spiritual and the science energy and bringing them together.
And celebrity astrologer David Palmer, who is also known as Leo King. I like that, Leo King. So David, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Steve.
That was amazing reading that you gave, man. And what information does someone learn from a reading?
What I'm trying to show people is that it's all divine. There's divine timing in life, there's divine synchronicities, and I help people see that when they were born so they can align and understand their life better, and it's good for helping people with knowing how to go down the right roads and not the wrong roads in life, because we have that choice.
Celebrity astrologer David Palmer, also known as the Leo King, is back with us. So his astrology guide is a hot seller right now on Amazon. We talked earlier about the modern approach to the age-old practice of astrology. So now let's look into the future. So David, what does the future hold for us? You said in our last segment, this week's gonna be a big one.
This week's huge. We got a Mercury retrograde coming in Pisces, which makes things really confusing. At the same time, the planet Uranus is gonna come into Taurus like it did in 1934, which was like the rise of Hitler, the total change in all the agreements with the world and world power shifting. But the big thing's President Trump. He's got a pretty intense situation going on in his life. A lot of people look at it, whether it's from the government and the court stuff that's going on, or whether or not he's colluded. But the big thing is there's gonna be so much confusion in the world. He's gonna be having to take on confusing information while being kind of attacked at the same time. So the mental stress is the biggest one. Is he gonna mentally be able to handle it?
Astrologist David Palmer, aka the Leo King, who is joining us again here on ET Live.
I know, I'm
Thanks
so glad
for
to
coming
be here.
back. We appreciate having you, especially during Mercury retrograde.
I know. Literally, the elevator on the way up was going up, no, it went down.
You got in the building. You're here on set.
I made it.
You made it. I mean, all right, it's Aries season.
So, well, the reality TV, the first one was 2005. I did a show on MTV called Parental Control. And back then, that was like the first of reality. Real World was the first reality show. And then it was these dating shows that MTV brought out. But they were very extreme. And they were all LA, Orange County based because that was where they got all their talent. And so we got reruns all the time. And then I did Next with the Next Bus, where it's like 5 guys or 5 girls in a bus, and then the person who's going to pick the dates can basically
have 5 choices and just say next, next. It was a really big show. So MTV had me do both of them back to back. So I was on 2 shows replaying all the time. And that was where I was like, if I combine this with astrology, there's something there.
It's all about not being afraid of learning and having expectations of going through a whole season. The way that my writing style is really aggressive and really fast, and I like to do that as clean as possible. I don't know if it's really like motorcycle riding. I'd say it's jet skiing, baby.